From Pattaya, Thailand, with your host, Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
And what can we say? It's Pattaya, Thailand, and today it's nice and hot outside, and it's even hotter in the studio today. And as per normal, we have Bobby at the end of the table on mission control. How are you, sir?
Greetings.
Greetings. Looking very smart today.
I got my great Talking Heads new shirt from Nathan.
We would have said
Thank you, Nathan, if you're listening.
Thanks to Nathan. He's a good guy and he does all the shirts. But it's not about us.
He's a good singer too.
It's not about us today, mate. We are in the presence of greatness. You do
We
realize
are.
that? As they say in America, it's Bob is in the studio. Bob Hughes, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Dave.
How are you? Okay?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good.
You said that the taxi driver that brought you here from just up the road went via Bangkok.
Yeah, he said it started off at 164 baht and then ended up at 2,064, but we got here.
Wow, okay.
No, I mean,
Yeah, okay.
it doesn't matter.
Never
We're
mind.
here. We're
Two
here.
words, sat nav.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Okay, we're gonna go and sort of let's put it this way. We're gonna start it today as part one, if that's okay.
Okay.
We're trying to set part two up with a little bit of added spice to it. We're gonna sort of go through a couple of things, a couple of bullet points that we've come up with for you. Okay. So I'm gonna sort of lead you in.
Right.
You can drive the car. I'll follow along. Okay. And on the way, it could be a bumpy ride, but I'm sure
Probably
we're
will
gonna we're gonna find out a lot more. Okay. So let's go with it. Of course, as we take you back all those years ago.
Talking Heads Podcast.
Elvis, of course, your first rock and roll influence. Who wasn't influenced by Elvis? Wow.
Well, the family used to listen to the radio a lot, and back in the day, it was crooners. We had Frank Sinatra and those kind of guys, and then all of a sudden, I heard Hound Dog, and I thought, what is that? And then overnight you're a convert because you're just hearing benign music all the time, and everything was in black and white because it was the late 50s. And then all of a sudden there's this guy who's dancing from the waist down, if I'm allowed to say that.
Wasn't that, quote me if I'm wrong, guys, you may jump in here as well. Wasn't it his first thing that he was on the Ed Sullivan show and they weren't going to film him below the waist or something?
They did.
Did they film him below the waist?
They filmed him from the waist up.
The waist up, that was right, yeah.
Because of his the way he moved.
You're gyrating.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you said that. But, I mean, a phenomenon happened because he put half a dozen genres together. There was no rock and roll. It was blues, it was country, it was bluegrass, and it was all, as Bobby knows, those great FM stations in America that played all that stuff. And he was brought up on that in Tennessee, obviously, and heard them all and thought, well, let's put them all together. And he goes to Sun Records with Sam Phillips, and Sam says, who are you? And he said, well, listen. And he went, you're booked. First day, get the acetate. Well, the first acetate was for his mum.
Yeah?
Yeah, the love song for his mother. Yeah, because
Wow.
he had that thing about his mum.
Yes.
And, but anyway, and then rock and roll was born.
It was when you were speaking about the Sinatra thing. I was watching a few days ago on Quincy Jones.
Oh,
and,
right.
and it was really good because there was one part in the movie where Quincy said that Frank Sinatra came to him and said, "I want you to produce my music with the big band." Yeah,
Right.
And when they were in Las Vegas, they were playing all these great big, the Flamingo, all these big.
The big rooms there.
Yes, but across the road was a black-only hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, and they put Quincy over there. And Sinatra walked over to the hotel, looked in there, come back to everybody in the management in the big places and went, if you don't get them guys out of there now and put them in the proper place, you're losing all as artists. And that's when it swung from the blacks being in a hotel on their own to the mixed inside of the hotels because of Sinatra. And it was Fly Me to the Moon that he produced first.
He was a huge advocate,
Yeah.
and especially with Sammy Davis.
Yeah.
Because when they were on the road as a Rat Pack, Sammy was always put in some funny hotel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Frank wouldn't have it. He said, if you don't change it, I'm not doing the
But how
gig,
good
mate."
is that?
Oh, what a guy.
What a guy, I mean.
Saw Frank twice
Yeah?
in London in 1980. End of his career, but he just walked on and everybody went,
Yeah.
he just had that charisma about him. He didn't even open his mouth.
But so, I mean, when you see him and he was talking about his career with him, with Quincy and that, it was just amazing how they were just bonded. I mean, it was incredible. And they only did it on an handshake. There was never a contract.
Yeah, but you never did that with Frank. Because if you shook Frank Sinatra's hand and you didn't come through, that was it.
Yeah, you might end up in the
exactly
the Four Seasons.
There you go. Yes.
The band,
and not in the right room.
Mr. Frank Valley, was it?
Did you say?
Frank Valley. Well, you owe us $1 million, or we're going to shoot your legs off. I'll take the debt.
Well, he did.
He did, didn't he?
There's another story about the Jersey Boys.
Yeah.
It wasn't Frankie, but Frankie took the debt.
He took the debt, didn't he?
He wasn't out of that debt until 10 years on. And what a guy!
Yeah, what a guy to turn. I mean, it was one of the band members, wasn't it?
It was. I think it was.
And did he get rid of him before? He got rid of him after that.
He did because he was a problem.
I remember something that stuck out. Who was the writer with him with Frankie?
It was Gaudio, Bob Gaudio.
Bob Gaudio, yeah.
Gaudio, and there was two of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I know Bob Gaudio. He said that he wrote, which I found very amazing. He wrote Sherry.
Yes.
On the bus to the studio in about 8 minutes or something.
It's a long tune. But again, I only saw Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons once in 76. They you remember that disco hit they had when they came back? What a Night.
What a Night, yeah. December 1963, yeah.
And then they toured again and Frankie came back to front the band. And I saw them in Eastbourne.
Did you?
Now, Eastbourne is so boring the tide don't come in. But, I mean, what a place. But there was Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons.
Wow. Wow.
He's still got the voice.
Wow.
Wonderful performers.
Of course, when we talk about people like Elvis, we cannot talk about Elvis without mentioning the Beatles.
Well, there was a life changer. My lovely sister, who we lost quite a long time ago, bless her. But she brought in the Beatles to the house, Dave, and
she brought.
Well, not physically on vinyl.
Okay,
vinyl only. Do you think I'd be sitting here with you now if she'd brought the Beatles in the house?
I was going to say, what are you doing in a place like this?
Exactly. But again, when you first heard them, I didn't pick up on Please Please Me, but the next album, as far as UK releases were concerned, was with the Beatles, which was the black cover, the four faces. Yes. And a lot of them were still covers, they were still covering
they started
Smokey Robinson, and Chuck Berry.
Yep.
Great influences. But you knew they had something. There was the harmony, great production from George Martin. I mean, it was all there. You just knew it was just going to get better and better and better and better. And when they started to write themselves, phenomenal.
But it's when you look back and you see like McCartney on screen talking about the days in the council house, and running up the street, combing through my hair and all that, you can see that this was real life events that he was doing. And him and John Lennon, it was just real life stuff that they were talking about.
Well, and even now with McCartney, I was lucky. I met his band in where was I?
Was that
Philadelphia?
Wings,
sorry.
Yeah.
No. McCartney's band now.
Oh, okay, all right.
The lineup now, which is the best lineup he's ever had.
Those guys are great.
Oh, they're super. The two guitar players and Abe
Laboriel Jr.
Oh, wow, what a kit player. But I just happened at the VIP deal for 2 nights with McCartney. And I know Wix Wickens, the keyboard player from London, from the Groucho Club. And I said,
Average White Band. He was with those guys way back when.
He was never a member. Wicks.
Okay, but he played with...
He's always played with Hamish. He's another old pal, Hamish Stewart. Lovely man. But, we're in Philadelphia, and through Wicks called me and said, look, I can't get sound check, but I can get you back after show party. I said, wow, guess where it was? Four Seasons Hotel. So luckily we've all got the VIP stuff on, and all the big guys are around, Come in, follow me. So anyway, Wicks comes over, and then McCartney's minder, who's ex-SAS, comes over and he said, who are you? And I said, who are you? And he said, how'd you get in here? And I said, well, through the door. So anyway, I said, Wicks. He said, it's all right, Bob, I'm just getting you a drink. And his face, he said, "I'm watching you." I said, "Thank you."
Did you wind him up, Uncle Bob?
Would I have done that? But the real sad thing of the whole evening was Macca had flown back to New York City to be with Heather. It was Heather days.
Oh, okay.
So I missed him. That close.
That close.
That close.
Never mind.
Here's
I mean,
what it is.
I remember the good story of when McCartney was flying somewhere and he heard that Billy Joel was doing the concert.
Yes.
Yeah. And he rang Billy Joel and says, "You've got this big Madison Square Gardens,
Yes.
I think, yeah."
Yes.
And McCartney says, "You're doing Madison Square Gardens tonight?" He says, "Yeah, I'm doing it now. I'm just about to go on in a few hours." And that's where the Beatles played. Originally, if you remember, yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
They did that stadium, the stadium, the big stadium thing.
Shea
wasn't it?
Stadium.
It's called
Shea Stadium.
Shea
Well, they
Stadium.
did Shea, yeah.
That's where he was. Joel.
Oh, he was
Sorry.
at Shea, not MSG.
No,
Okay.
Shea Stadium.
Okay.
And he was doing the concert there. McCartney called him and says, "Yeah, I'm doing this tonight." Blah blah blah. I says, "Oh, I'd really love to do it." McCartney went, so he diverted the plane. Yeah, and he thought that he weren't going to make it. And he says when he landed at the airport, it was just go all the way through. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about anything. And he just flew through there. Got in this taxi, all these police cars, and he made it to play with Joel. But the good thing was the man that drove the car with the Beatles into Shea Stadium originally, when the Beatles first got there, drove McCartney in on that night with Joel.
Really?
The same guy.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Wow.
So,
Wow. There's another little anecdote with this one.
Yeah.
Right? On that same tour in Philadelphia, I met Sid Bernstein, who was the man that took the Beatles to America. And again, that was a phone call and a handshake with Epstein. He says, "You know, you New Yorker, I want your boys." And
Yeah.
he said, "Who is this? Who am I speaking to?" He said, "Sid Bernstein here." He said, "Okay."
but today things like that.
Well, they
just
will never
wouldn't-
happen again, Dave.
Never happen again, would they?
Well, there'll never be another Beatles, will there?
No, no.
That's, the story.
I mean-
and not that management that loved them so much and nurtured them to make sure that they were the best of the best.
I think that's where you're right there. Nurtured them, and was that like sort of dad figure, if that's what you want to say. Today, it's all about the money, isn't it?
Well, when people say, "Why do you think Epstein?" and I don't think he meant to commit suicide. I think he was so disappointed and distraught that the boys weren't going to tour again, because that was his life, and they were going to go after Revolver. You know, it was just studio, no more road. I mean, can you imagine being out there and you can't even hear yourself sing? There's no point. is
No,
there?
no,
point.
no,
And
no,
the
no.
technology wasn't there to be able to back
I remember
you up.
seeing the film The Hard Day's Night. I love that.
Oh wow!
What a film.
Well, that changed everything.
That changed
again,
everything.
didn't it?
I went to see that and I went, hey.
And do you know where the name came from?
No?
Ringo. Because John said, "Man, I'm tired." And Ringo said, "Oh, it was a hard day's night."
And that was it.
That was it.
The film was born.
They changed the name. There you go.
60s bands that sort of like you, that are around, that sort of influence you. I would imagine people like the Small Faces, the Who. I would imagine people like that would have been an influence towards you, surely.
Huge. I mean, when the Small Faces broke and the Who broke, it was like the mod thing. So it was dress code, like you got your Ben Sherman.
I remember, I was part of it.
Exactly.
I was part of it.
Exactly. And it was just so good because again you could dress for the music. The Small Faces to me were a blues band, really.
yeah,
if you
yeah.
listen to Marriott's voice, and he went on to play the blues. And the Who, I've seen the Who again semi-recently, they still got it.
I also remember that I didn't know about the Small Faces at the time. Of course, I sort of heard of them, but I also remember that the Quadrophenia film
Yes.
brought me into the Who saga.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you had Sting
Well,
there.
you were late.
So I know, but I was sort of busy with the DJ and all that.
I
So
know,
I was
I know.
playing all this stuff. But when you go to the Small Faces, I mean, they were founded in 1965. The group originally consisted of Steve Marriott, Ronnie Lane, and Kenny Jones.
Yeah.
Of course, in those days.
Yes, it did. They were a four-piece. Yeah. Don't you've forgotten Plonk Lane, who was the bass player.
There was, I've got it here in brackets. Just quote me if I'm wrong. Jimmy Winston, Ian McClan. Replaced Winston in the band's...
Oh, Ian McClagan. Yes.
McClagan, yeah.
Yes.
Replaced him as keyboard player in 1966.
He did because the other guy wasn't up to par, to be honest. But
Yeah.
McClagan, he's a great player.
Is he?
We've lost him. I mean, he's passed away. But saw him with Bob Dylan. He was that good.
Yeah.
You know, and he had that funky sort of thing that they were looking for because Marriott had the voice and the guitar. Plonk Lane could write. and you then needed a keyboard player who was that was what was missing.
I remember flying over to the UK and going to Shepherd's Bush to watch the Doors.
Oh,
yeah, and we went back.
You saw him with Morrison?
No, I didn't. I seen him with the guy, out of the rock band. There was a guy who was singing. Because there was, after Morrison, there was a guy who took Morrison's place who wanted to sound like Morrison, but he also wanted to look like him. Oh, okay. And the fans didn't really go.
It never works.
It didn't work. But then there was another guy. I forgot his name. Sorry, I'm sorry for making a mistake. But he was fantastic. But we had VIP to go back and be with Rayman Zarek and Robbie Krieg and that. So we hung around with them. But I also remember that Rayman Zarek come on the stage and he had this keyboard, and on top of this keyboard he had his old keyboard.
Did he?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I said to my friend, where's the monkey?
Steam one.
Yeah, where's the monkey gone? And he just come on and he glided over these keyboards, and I'd never heard them in that way. I've heard the song, but I'd never seen them live.
Because he had that sound, that
Riders in the storm. I mean, it was
no
just
one played like him. Yeah.
And unfortunately, we was going to go. Me and my friend had a pass to go and be with him over in America. Yeah, which was fine. Wow. Yeah, and unfortunately, of course, he passed away.
Yes,
which was really sad.
And there's two, excuse me, which we won't touch on today, but there's two stories how he passed. So perhaps part two we can touch on.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing, just why we're talking about that. I mean, as you know, Howard over in the UK,
yes,
his cousin was Amy Winehouse.
Oh wow!
And she was going to come over here 2 weeks before she died.
Wow! And she was the 27 Club.
Yeah, she was in the 27 Club.
She was the last one.
Yeah, there's quite a few in that 27 Club, isn't there?
Wow.
It's amazing. But okay, let's take you back all the way, of course. Radio at the time was really relevant, of course, playing some of the great music and the radio presenters. I mean, like Roscoe and all these people. I mean, I remember hearing him for the first time and I thought, Jesus, man, I want your voice.
Exactly. And I saw him live, and he was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
He brought America to the UK in terms of music and how to present. And I've still got friends who are on air. Greg Edwards, who's on My Soul. Jeff Young, who's on Jazz FM. And Robbie Vincent's appeared again. Vincent. He appeared last weekend again at the Jazz Weekend, which they did, obviously from a studio.
Yeah.
But he'd had a falling out with Jazz FM over something.
But in those days, you know about it, I mean, as well as I do. In those days, the guys, number one is, I mean, some of their voices were amazing. Their pace of radio presenting is just phenomenal. And you think to yourself, how can you keep up with these guys? But also, of course, and I know because we've done it, is there'll be a tap on the door. Yes. There'll be a guy with a little brown paper bag and saying, if you play these records, I'll give you some money. We used to love them. Pluggers.
Payola.
Pluggers.
In the States. Yeah, exactly.
Pluggers where I was, yeah.
But the other thing was, Dave, that the furtive ground was the ships, Caroline, Radio London.
Radio Caroline, yeah.
So you had to be good. You had to stay out there in the North Sea being sick every day and then present a show and then be sick again. And then if you got a shot at Radio 1, you were pretty good.
Yeah.
But, Radio 1... for me, was
Radio 1 was
an
commercial.
afterthought.
It's
an
commercial.
It was typical BBC.
The guy. I mean, listen. I can't put my hands up. I was a commercial DJ. I played all the pop, all the the cheesy music and I played everything because that's what I did.
Sure.
But on the side of that, I used to listen to John Peel.
Oh, I loved him.
I used to listen to John Peel all the time because he was one of the only people on the radio that would give everybody that wasn't known a play and a break.
Yes.
And I mean, he found, as you know, he found a lot of bands.
And the other one was Whispering Bob
Harris.
Loved him. I mean, what a great show the Whistle Test was.
Do you know where that comes from?
Go on.
The old grey whistle test.
Go on.
I found this amazing. I told Bobby.
You told me the story last week.
This is amazing. They used to get a lot of old people, put them in a room and play them some tunes that they thought were good. They used to play the records, the new records coming out. Okay. And all these people would sit there and listen to them. Right? Then the bosses would sit outside in the hallway and down the way, and if anybody come out whistling any of the tunes, they went, that's the one we're doing, and it passed the old grey whistle test.
Oh, I gotcha.
That's where it comes from.
Wow. Wow.
How good, eh? I like that. I like that. So you became a disc jockey, 1968, yeah?
Well, I wouldn't say I was a disc jockey. At the time, I fell in love with Jamaican music.
Nice.
Which was ska, Rocksteady. Reggae hadn't hit. And we've just lost Toots Hibbert, who really
Blue Beat?
was...
Blue Beat?
Oh, I love Blue Beat
Yeah.
as well. Prince Buster was big when I first started playing.
Right.
And you know, I had a lot of Jamaican friends in South East London.
I was 7, by the way, so I can't even
I'm
join in this
I'm
conversation.
not looking bad, am I?
You're looking. I tell you what, I was 7 when I was 68. I was 7.
Well, you tried to come to one of my gigs, and I said, "No, you can't come in, man. You're too young." Too young. No, but it was different again. You could play in pubs, and the great thing was, which we touched on off air, Dave, was you know, call yourself a DJ, call yourself whatever you if you're putting a record on. It just puts you in a place where all of a sudden females become more available, I guess is the word.
Fanny magnet is the word you're looking for.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that.
I can say that. It's not a problem.
But exactly. But we did it because we loved it. I mean, it was £5 a gig in those days, which was nothing. And we hauled this big sound
Bands
system
were,
around.
listen, Bobby, bands weren't the only people. That group is okay.
I know. Weren't we lucky?
We were very lucky. Here's something for you that I came up with, because I put 68 down
Yes.
as a sort of a year, you know, that you sort of started things. So I'm gonna do a couple of lines.
Okay.
Not a couple of lines literally, but a couple of lines off here. 1968, guitarist Jimi Hendrix is jailed by the Stockholm police after trashing a hotel room during a drunken fight with his bassist Noel Redding. That was in 1968, believe it or not, at that time.
Well, he only really broke in 67, didn't he? You know, the first Are You Experienced?
Did you see him?
No. A big disappointment, Robbie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big disappointment for me, not seeing Jimmy.
But you were around and he was around at the same time?
Well, you know, I should have done the Isle of Wight. I should have. I mean, it was that close. I was, you know, born and bred in Kent, and I could have got there, and I didn't make the effort, thinking that Jimmy was going to be around forever, as you do, then he was gone. 27.
27 Club again. Yeah.
So such a big loss, because I think he was on the cusp of, you know, he'd found the band. Was it Cobham on the drums? Cobham.
Mitch Mitchell?
Well, no,
Billy Cox.
Billy Cox, that was it. Once he'd found that mix, you know, and the Band of Gypsies, I mean, he was just going to go off into another place. But we lost him, you know. And again, unintentional.
Yeah.
You know, wasn't.
Yeah.
You know.
What can you say?
Exactly.
68, Johnny Cash performs his famous concert in the Folsom State Prison in California. Remember that one?
Do I?
Do I?
Wow. I mean, that would never happen again.
No.
Because they would have let him back out. But Johnny was a phenomenon, wasn't he?
Was he?
Oh, man.
Wow.
I mean, he just took Nashville and they went, you can't go out and do this. He said, watch me. You know, because Nashville was so staid, and it was like you had to wear a cowboy hat and strum. And a man in black was having none of that. So he just took it out and changed everything.
He broke the rules.
He did.
We spoke about the Doors a little bit earlier on, and just to let you know, in 68, Universal Studios, this is in 68, and I'm going to lead into something, and then you can sort of get in with this. Universal Studios offers the Doors in 68 $500,000 in 68 to feature in a film, which they never did.
Wow.
In 68. Now,
That was a lot of money.
just hold that thought for just 1 second.
will.
Because I've got something here that you might just find interesting. In 69, this is in 69, okay? Just have a guess at this. So let's just take one of these guys for you, what we spoke about. We were speaking yesterday, weren't we, on this one? Let's go for Deep Purple, okay?
Right.
So if you wanted to book Deep Purple for the night in 1969, what do you reckon they'd cost? At a guess.
For me,
Yeah, in a joint.
what I would have paid them? 10 bob. Joking.
It's just
no. I'm joking. It's a funny one, because what was the big album that broke in rock? What's it called? Because I'm not a metal fan, you know, and so you're going into territory I don't know much about.
I wanted to sort of like
Oh,
give you-
what-
Pink Floyd. Let's say Pink Floyd.
Oh, Floyd then.
Floyd.
69.
69. What do you reckon?
I would for one gig for one evening.
For one evening in your place.
I think, I don't know, £1,000.
Yeah, you're not. I wanted to put into what I'm trying to do is put into the perspective of the Doors being offered $500,000 in '68 to perform in a movie when I could have gone down the road in '69
Yes.
and booked Pink Floyd in my club for $250.
Wow. So I was way off, really.
Way off, but still around that figure. But
Affordable.
it shows what $500,000 was at that time, and they turned it down.
But the movie would have then gone on general release and made the studio millions of dollars. So that was why they anted up 500,000. You know, it had legs because of Morrison. You know, I don't know what format they would have done. Was it about the band?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe they just didn't want to, give their personal life away, or I haven't got a clue.
Well, Morris, what a strange guy. Some of the decisions he made, and then when they were up there in the stratosphere, he just wrecked it all.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that was him. And he was 27 as well. He was a 27 club.
Yeah, but we
keep going on. He's 27 club.
He was a.
Thank God I'm 28, so we're good.
I'm 29 tomorrow, so I'm pretty okay. First big gig live was at the Sax Vault, yeah.
Well, it was Otis Redding. The Stax Vault tour was brought over in '67 when Stax was just breaking. Motown and Stax was just kind of
What is Stax for the people that
Stax is the record label out of Memphis.
All right.
Which was predominantly Otis Redding. I'm trying to think, Sam and Dave, Eddie Floyd, all those guys were having hits. So they said, right, all get on a plane, we'll fly you in. It was at Billy Walker's club in the East End of London called the Uppercut Club.
Okay.
He was earning big dough boxing. So they put it on there, and it was just phenomenal. I mean, the PA was terrible, but just to see Otis sing live, and then what happens? He died that year.
Yeah,
another great loss.
So we've got this, the label, the Gordy label, the Motown label, and all that kind of stuff on the table. Stax around the same time.
Yes.
So competitors, or
well, yes, they pretty much were. Memphis being a bit more bluesy, so you had a harder edge with Stax, whereas Motown had a conveyor belt of acts because Berry Gordy being a very clever man.
Well, he was like the music factory today, wasn't he? He was pumping out hits after hits after hits after hits.
But he had talent, whereas Simon Cowell doesn't.
Well,
Sorry.
Cowell has got no talent. Come on.
Sorry, that's why I'm so disappointed about music now, because it's just a business. You last a year, Dave. You're gone.
Yeah, I mean, where are a lot of them that have been on the shows? There's even the good ones are not that around, are they?
Stock in Sainsbury's shelves, aren't they? Most of them.
Well, how you can take a lady that's in a council house and make her a superstar overnight, give her millions and millions of dollars, and then she says, "It doesn't change my life."
Oh, exactly.
I like the girl that won the lottery. Remember her? What was her name? The blonde-haired girl.
Yes.
I've won the lottery. What are you going to do? Spend, 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 spend. And she did.
She did.
It was all gone, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
Good girl. That's what I say.
Exactly.
Around about that time, of course, you caught up and you did the Four Tops, who I love.
Oh, wow. Well, one of my all-time favourite voices, Levi Stubbs. They were the first Motown act that I really picked up on in '65. And then, of course, Reach Out, I'll Be There hit in '66 when I was still at school.
Which came out on the Motown label,
yeah? Yeah. I mean, they were a Motown band. Never moved. Whereas the Isley Brothers were Motown and then moved. Gladys Knight, Motown moved. But the Four Tops didn't.
Pips,
yeah. Just saw her last year in New Orleans.
Nice.
Still got it.
Yeah.
Oh, here's an anecdote. Diana Ross, who I do not like at all.
Seen her in Norway?
I've seen her twice. She, on an original tour, whereas Gladys Knight was warming up for the Supremes in the early 60s, she was so good, she made the Supremes look pretty bad. Well, made Diana Ross look bad. So she went on to Berry Gordy, Diana Ross, and got them fired off of the tour. Berry Gordy called himself and said to Gladys, she said, "Oh, tour's going well." He said, "Yeah, but
you're off.
You're upsetting my main act." Well, Gordy and her had a fling.
Yeah, so, sure.
That's how it works.
It does work.
Has it?
How about this? I mean, around about when you caught the Four Tops, during the 70s, of course, it says here that I pretty seen all the bands.
Well, that's a bit of an overstatement, isn't it, really? But whoever was touring between, say, 72 to 82, and then 82 I left the UK to go to the Middle East, like Clapton, Anybody that I really wanted to see, I made sure I was there. Daryl Hall, John Oates, when they first came over.
Do you watch Daryl's House?
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favourite series.
Do you know what? I got it by mistake for some reason. I was looking at some stuff, and then this guy came on here. You remember the Green Onions? Booker T?
Booker T, yes.
He was playing this. He was playing. Oh, what's that? And then suddenly this coming in the house. And he went at Daryl's house, and I just got hooked.
And me.
I got hooked. Wow.
He'd signed to do another series.
Oh, is it?
And something happened. Pre-COVID, it didn't come off. And I had tickets this year to see Daryl Hall and John Oates again.
Wow, yeah.
In a casino somewhere. Bobby, Pentucket. Is it called Pentucket? Rhode Island. What's that?
Oh, Nantucket.
Nantucket.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's
Nantucket sounds like a Kennedy kind of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. They were close to Martha's Vineyard. Yeah.
Yeah,
up in that
gotcha.
neck of
Have you got
the
some
woods.
water, Bob?
Yes, I have.
Have a quick swig. Let's just have a little bit of this.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand, with your host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
Back in the studio, back in Pattaya, and of course it's nice and hot, and we're on the tour with Mr. Bob Hughes. Nice to have you back, Bob.
Thank you.
Doing well so far? Enjoying it?
I'm loving it.
Good. All right. So, I mean, let's before we carry on. Yeah, and we're up to I'm down to here. So we're roughly, let's just say we're up to the beginning of the 80s.
Right.
If I was to sum up the beginning of the 80s, so I'm going to put my hand just there. If I was to sum up on there, and you could choose just one thing that stuck out in your mind that you say, hey, you know what? I really, really, really love that. That was a moment in time. What moment, if you could pick one, would you pick?
Leaving the UK. Sorry to all you lovely people in the UK.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But it was a life-changing thing.
Yeah.
And again, I found music becoming a bit banal.
In the UK?
Well, globally.
Globally?
I mean, there were some standout bands. I mean, we had the punk thing, didn't we, in the 70s, which shook everything up.
Well, I mean, as soon as Johnny Rotten came on the scene and said, never mind the bollocks, that's it. It all went upside down.
And Bill Grundy's still looking for a job.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I kind of...
That was Virgin, wasn't it? Branson.
It was.
Yeah.
But, the travel thing took over the music thing, really, because I was always in a different country like yourself, but not in a publishing thing rather than a music thing.
Yeah.
And I found the 80s to be very slow in terms of good things happening musically. Probably different for you because you were playing clubs.
Yeah, I was
you?
playing clubs. I would say, being fair to me, to everybody out there, I would say the 80s was one of my best times ever.
For that genre?
For that kind of genre, yeah.
Yeah,
It was just pumping.
I was buzzing.
I mean, I'm talking Scandinavia. I'm not talking. It was.
I think globally, really,
it was pumping. It was
You know,
crazy.
the clubs were starting to take over, really, Dave. Live bands, the big boys had kind of taken a step back. Were not writing, couldn't make the money, and then disc jockeys came through and got young people moving again, which was great.
What do you think today when there's a lot of guys? I mean, I know that they just started. Tony Prince has just started his United DJs, which is bringing back on board all these DJs from the old days, playing all the old stuff. Do you like that kind of thing? Is that your kind of thing or not?
Retro's okay in its place. You can rehash. If they're still talented guys, then yeah. Because if they play the music how it should have be played, then yes, I'm up for that.
But I was always one that, I mean, like you, I've met some people over the years, and I played what I played because I was paid to play it.
Sure.
At the end of the day, and I was paid to entertain the people in that way. But the thing that I used to find really cool was the people that didn't get the chance to get out there and do their thing, and their sounds were a lot better than the stuff I was playing.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Well, let's go back to Motown.
Yeah, sure.
You know what Northern Soul is?
I do.
Well, it's the stuff that didn't make it on the A list of Motown.
Which they
stuff.
brought over to the north of England, and it became the Northern.
And then you had to dance like a funny person.
Well,
Sorry, no, I'm joking with you.
I went to a few of those nights. I really enjoyed it.
No, I'm joking.
Can't remember a thing, but
it was huge.
It was massive.
Absolutely
And
huge.
still is.
And the great thing was you were hearing B-sides that were going to be released by Motown and were huge in the clubs.
I think I may be wrong on this, so if you're listening, don't quote me on this. I think it's the song After Tonight Is Over. I think it is. It's called, yeah? That's just sold for £100,000 in England.
Wow.
The 7-inch version.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's that track.
Wow. I should dig out my 68 collection. There might be some gems in there.
I've still got loads. I've got some Elvis on the Sun.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Should we check it? Let's twist.
Well, I've actually been to Sun Studios in
Have you?
Memphis.
Oh,
I stood on the X where the man sang in that studio.
Elvis?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
You know,
How cool is that?
And Sam Phillips you can feel him still in there.
Yeah?
Yeah. In fact, I'm not. I think he might still be with us, Sam, because I know some of his family still run the studio, and they haven't touched it.
Yeah, because I remember, to quote me if I'm wrong, I think I remember seeing it, and I also remember that like a bakery shop with the thing outside. Is that right?
It's round the back of one of the main highways, and it's really small. It's like everywhere you go. It's like, you go to Abbey Road, which I haven't done, but Studio 2 where the Beatles recorded. I mean, it was the biggest studio they had there, but Abbey Road's not a huge building. Everybody thinks that recording studios are these multi-million dollar things, which they're not. Yeah, Motown, like that. I've been to the Stack Studios in Memphis. Not the original, because the original burnt down. It was an old cinema. But they've just done it across the road and beautifully done.
When you're talking about the size of recording studios and you're talking of getting a good sound, I always remember McCartney on the show, and he went into the toilet in his old council house, and he went, "It always sounds better in the bog." He said the acoustics were brilliant. He says you couldn't even replicate it in the studio. He says, so we used to put the microphone in the bog, and me and John used to sing in the bog. I thought it was brilliant, and it's true.
And the other one was underneath the staircase.
Yeah.
For the echo.
Yeah. I mean, the sound, even when he was just talking and he started singing, it was amazing.
Doesn't that impress you that they would find ways, when they were on 2 or 4 tracks, which, back in the day, that's all they had. And to find these and George Martin was thoughtful enough to go with their, well, let's play it backwards.
Yeah, which just takes you into the Bohemian Rhapsody and all that, where they looped it, they built on it, they backwards, they forwards, they just built layers and layers and layers, didn't he?
Yes.
Which was unheard of at that time.
It was indeed. But it still didn't change that they wrote it, they played it, and then they put their own effects on it.
They could write.
Yeah, that's the yeah.
Sorry?
They could write.
Oh, boy. I mean, if you look at that catalogue, the Beatles catalogue, it's just unbelievable. I mean, and Keith Richards and this guy called Mick Jagger. I mean, when they learn to write, they'll be okay. But no, I mean, just look at their catalogue.
Yeah.
Goat's Head Soup, straight in at number 1. After, when was it released? 73? Yeah. Gone straight back to number 1. It's been repackaged.
Wow.
Straight in, and it knocks some...
Yeah.
Whoever he was.
But I do like the fact that vinyl sales are back on the way up.
I love
it. I do like that because, in the day when I used to DJ, I had a Bang & Olufsen sound system.
Did you?
Yeah. It cost me a fortune.
I bet.
But I always remember with the Bang & Olufsen sound system, you could hear everything.
Yes.
You could never replicate the sound of vinyl through a system.
No.
Yeah, because it was all those little and all them little bits. But you could hear, through a good system, you could hear everything.
Yes.
And it was just something about a stick today that just doesn't do it for me.
It's compressed.
Yeah, and you can't feel it. It's not in your hand. You don't get the cover. You don't get the story. You don't get anything.
Rock and roll or buying an album is about the smell of the cover first, isn't it? And then you do the liner notes and you go, he's on there.
Yeah.
She's on there.
Yeah.
Who produced it? That's the first thing you did before you even
Absolutely,
put the disc
before
on
you put it on.
Yeah. Find out who the musicians were.
Yeah.
And that was the fun. It was just so much
fun. And there was a lot of story history in a lot of the old records and that, wasn't there? So the vinyl was just unbelievable. Phenomenal. And in the old days, if you remember, on the 7-inch singles, they used to write little things.
They did.
They used to have the little engraving tool, and the artist used to put a message on the 7-inch single. Not a lot of people knew that, and then eventually it was like, things like "I love you" or "I miss you" or "Dallas," and they used to write little things on these 7-inch singles, and you'd buy the 7-inch singles, and then somebody would have that one where that artist had actually engraved something on it back in the 70s.
Quick one, ELO.
Jeff Lynne.
Jeff Lynne.
Mr. Blue Sky.
Yes.
When the album first side of the album finishes, do you know what that is on that? When it goes, do you know what that is?
No.
Please Turn Me Over.
Yeah,
it is.
Is that what it is?
100%.
Wow.
Please turn me over.
Is that
Please turn me over.
That's what it's doing?
It's what it is.
Wow. The American rock and roll tours commenced in 04, of course, with Eric Clapton at the Crossroads at the Dallas place, which you've got the T-shirt, which
From
I
last year.
Last year.
Last year.
What was all that about?
Well, Eric bought a treatment centre in Antigua, and he needed to fund it. So he thought, I'll get all my pals along. So that's what Crossroads being the Robert Johnson song. He thought, what a great name for a treatment centre. A buddy of mine said, we've lost a lovely man called Phil. He said, why didn't he open it in Brixton? And I said, there's another story. But to fund it, obviously all the musicians play for nothing, Dave. And he used to do it every 3 years. So you'd get 04, 07, 10, 13. And then we had a gap of 6 years until he went back to, I saw him in Dallas last year to do this. But that's how he funds the treatment centre.
Wow, just
From the ticket sales and the musicians playing for nothing.
I seen him. He was doing the Ginger Baker,
The tribute
thing,
Yeah.
and I liked what he said. He came, everybody uproared when he came on the stage, but Eric Clapton, being Eric Clapton, went, "Nice to be here." So it was really good. He says, "Yeah, Ginger Baker was a rascal, pissed a lot of people off." He says. Really, really bad. He said, he never pissed me off. That's why I'm here tonight.
Exactly. And
which I thought was great.
I have to add this real quick. I met Eric in Bangkok.
Yeah.
He was playing at the Impact, and a dear friend of mine called Roddy Lorimer, who played trumpet with him for 6 years.
Oh, Roddy.
Yeah, you know Roddy?
Yeah, I've played with him.
He's a great man.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. And Roddy said, look, Eric's playing. Do you want to come? I said,
Yeah.
Roddy.
Hello.
So anyway, I met him quickly, and then as Eric's coming down this corridor, I kind of got in front of him, and I said, Eric, can we? And he said, can we what? I said, well, could you just stand up against the wall so we can have a picture taken? Anyway, I got it, and Roddy said, you're the only guy I've known to ever have your picture taken with Eric Clapton. And I said he wasn't getting past me.
Eric, can I?
So it's one of those lovely stories, and Roddy was right there.
I mean, when we talk about funny stories, I mean, over the years and where you've been, I mean, can you share a couple that sort of stand out in your mind, some funny situations?
Well, the other McCartney story I have, I was seeing Eric at the Albert Hall, and I'm staying at, do you know Groucho's in London?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I always usually try and stay there because of obvious reasons. And we got delayed in traffic, my buddy and I, and we walk in and the barman says, Barb, guess who you just missed, who was playing the piano, because there's a little piano.
Yep.
McCartney had been in. So that's twice I've missed him. So it's obviously not going to happen, is it?
No. So back to Philadelphia when your friend Winnie, what's his name?
Wicks. Yeah.
So did it happen where he introduced you, or was it?
He introduced me to the band, Bobby. Yeah,
but not Paul.
But Paul had flown off to see Heather. So that's how I missed him. Okay. But I met actually Abe Laboriel was not there. But the two guitar players were, who I think are phenomenal. I mean, they just nailed the Beatles sound, haven't they?
They nail it. They're serious.
They are.
They're really serious.
I mean, it's the best band Macca's ever had.
There's a picture of you in Chicago. I mean, where were they at?
Well, this was last year, and I saw them Pikes Peak in Colorado. And, I was lucky to have a VIP thing and met them. And again, I kicked myself because I'm a Robert Lamb fan. I love him, And he was stood right next to me in the picture.
Yeah.
And I didn't say hello. I mean, how crazy is that?
We were talking the other day, weren't we, about David Foster, who did when he produced it, and they sort of said, okay, right, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, right, this is what you're going to do. And there wasn't any horn section. And they went, huh? What?
But he's mainly with Cetera, isn't he? Not Chicago.
He did.
Did he do some stuff with Chicago?
Yeah, he was the guy that made some of the hits. But the thing is, there was no horn section in them.
Wait, check it out. I think you're talking Peter Cetera solo, not Chicago.
Am I?
Yes.
Am I right there? Chicago? I thought it was Chicago that he pulled out.
Don't forget, Cetera went solo.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that Foster worked with was Cetera solo. Not
Okay.
Chicago.
Foster, he likes horns. He's a horn guy. He loves horns.
No.
Yeah, because they said something about that there wasn't any horns in it.
Well, let's check that out. There might be another conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can slap me around the face of the
Cetera's,
fish.
all of his big hits were with Foster.
Right. Okay.
So that there's that connection, but they might have worked together.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm a youngie here,
Of course you are.
so you have to bear with me.
Of course you are.
You're the oldies, not me.
You're
Just by a year
25
or
or
two.
624.
What do you think of the music scene here at the moment? I mean, Patio is a melting pot, isn't it, for some great musicians?
Yes.
I mean, and we've seen a few over the years, like you have, as I have. I mean, how is it at the moment? How's the scene here?
Well, I had that lovely time of taking care of Band of Smiles, which was, two British. The singer was Harpic and Rick and Pop, who is our old buddy, and that worked so well because you had the Thai flavour.
You came and played, remember?
Exactly. Yes, I put them into a room that you used to own.
Yeah.
And then if you've got a predominantly expat audience, then Harpic can take it home.
Yeah.
But then you'd leave it to Pop and the boys to play at the last 10, 15 minutes of Thai music, and that's the way it worked so well.
It was great,
wasn't it?
It was,
and they were quality, weren't they?
It was quality.
They were quality.
It was quality. I remember them coming in a room and playing and setting up their stuff. And
Do you remember?
I do, and
great
I remember everything. And
Did you pay?
me?
Yeah.
Probably not.
That's good.
I never do.
I
Bob.
wonder what happened.
If look in your contract, you just say it's signed
It
I
said
owe you.
zero.
I owe you. That's my name. What's your initials? I owe you. Listen, it's been good, yeah?
Yes.
Enjoyed it. I know that you've got to
Enjoyed it.
shoot off and see your friends and
I will,
do what
yeah.
you want. Can we get back together again?
I would love to.
Okay, and let's get some guys in here who you can choose, yeah?
Okay.
And let's have a bit of a jam session in there
Wouldn't
as
it
well.
nice to be like an acoustic sort of keyboard jam?
That's great. I mean, Bob is
the people
the pilot. So what do you reckon, Bob? A nice acoustic
Unplugged
session?
acoustic, DI bass, maybe a cajon to hold down the rhythm section. And
That would be great. That would be great.
It would be great to get a kid in here, but I'm not sure we can fit
I think
one
we've
in.
got the room, Bobby.
Yeah.
But, unless they bring just a snare in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
that's
you go.
there.
You don't need the full kit, do you?
No.
I mean, just as long as you've got a
as long as you've got a
hi-hat and a
Yeah,
that's all you need.
So we needed that.
Yeah.
I'll be on the washboard.
There you go.
You stick to the triangle because you know what you like.
And I'll be on the harp,
The what? The harp.
the Jews harp.
Bobby,
Sorry.
it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in the
Thank you,
studio.
Dave.
Thanks for sharing some of the memories with you.
Thank you.
Of course, we'll do part two.
And thank you to Bobby.
Yeah.
He's been terrific.
Thank you, Bob.
Doing the stuff.
like we say that on the website, we say Talking Heads podcast. Everybody's got a story in them,
Yes, they have.
and it's
Everybody
true.
has.
Everybody's got a story
Yes,
in
they
them.
have. And it doesn't have to be about rock and roll.
No,
it
it
can be
doesn't-
about
it can be anything.
I mean, so many people that are expats and live in Pattaya or Thailand all have a story. They
Well,
travel.
how many times have you sat down the same as I have, and you know what we used to do?
Yes.
And you sit down, and you say, "How you doing, mate?" And he'll go, yeah. I can remember when.
Yes.
And that's it. You're
Yes.
off. That's it. That's all I need.
Exactly.
So if anybody's out there and they want to come in the podcast studio and join us and have a story to tell, whatever it be, it doesn't have to be music. It can be anything, all right? But if you've got some stories to tell, we want to hear about them, okay? And today we've heard Bob Hughes, and it's been a pleasure
Thank you,
to
Dave.
have you in the studio, okay? And I'm looking forward to part two. Are you, Bobby?
My
I'm
pleasure.
so looking forward to that.
And on that note, we're going to say goodbye.
Goodbye from him.
And goodbye from him.
Aloha.
Aloha. See ya.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand with your host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.